Chapter 717. Cameron had not even wanted to be involved in this mess in the first place and knew that there was more to what a lot of these things seemed like. But his superior had ordered him to come and even specified that the person reporting the case was the city council secretary, Dorian Caliph. Cameron was told to do a good job and had no other choice. Wilbur sneered coldly at the words. "I guess it's pretty clear you're all going to gang up on me then." "So what if we are, The woman's son called out. "You think you're so great just because you can fight, don't you? Well, I've got my own ways of dealing with you." The woman and Dorian smirked at Wilbur. Yes, they had planned to wait until Wilbur was arrested to use their connections to teach him a harsh lesson not to mess with people like them. They wanted to see just how Wilbur was going to beg them for forgiveness. Cameron frowned. "Let's go. Please don't make this difficult for us." He walked over to Wilbur with the other officer, preparing to arrest Wilbur. Wilbur's expression darkened at once. There was no way he was going to just let them have their way here. Just then, an old voice rang through the air. "What's happening here?" Wilbur looked over and saw Benjamin walking over slowly with his granddaughter Susie. Benjamin had been cultivating using the method Wilbur gave him and was looking better by the day. Dorian saw who it was and hurried over to greet Benjamin with a wide grin. "What are you doing out here, Mr. Grayson? It's late. You should take care of yourself." Anyone who lived here was someone of a certain level of wealth and power, and most of them knew who Benjamin was as well. Dorian was one of those people. In fact, he had been racking his brains for the longest time trying to score himself a visit to Benjamin's house. The problem was that Benjamin's house was not open for anyone to enter freely, and Dorian could hardly even get past the house's initial security. Even trying to bump into Benjamin by chance was impossible. The second Dorian even got close to Benjamin, there would be bodyguards to shoo him away before he even got a glance at Benjamin. It was important to note that Benjamin was a national hero who could enjoy the most premium treatment and had only chosen to go back to his roots. People like Dorian would not get the chance to meet Benjamin in their lifetime otherwise. After a few futile tries later, Dorian had no choice but to give up. If he were to anger Benjamin and get himself into trouble, Dorian's future might be done for. Now that he saw Benjamin right in front of him without any bodyguards, Dorian could hardly contain his glee. As long as he managed to have Benjamin as one of his connections, no one in the Cardin province government would dare to mess with him. Heck, even Orrin Campbell would have to pay Dorian some form of respect. The woman and her son saw that it was Benjamin and crowded over at once as well. They were all bows and smiles, greeting him warmly and asking how he was doing, just like lowly servants in ancient times. Susie's gaze flashed with disdain, and she shook her head at Wilbur. Wilbur merely smiled. Just then, Benjamin noted the blokes lying on the ground and frowned. "What happened here?" "Oh, Mr. Grayson, let me tell you." The woman perked up at once, beginning to tear up on cue. "I got into an accident with this man earlier today, and he ran away after beating my family and me up. We called the police thinking that it would be fine once they handled it, only for the guy to show up in our neighborhood and attack us again. Look, he's beaten all of my son's friends up. Thank goodness Officer Wench got here in time. Lord knows what this bastard might be capable of." The woman did not mention a word about her family's fault, declaring at once that Wilbur was the evil perpetrator following her to where she lived to attack her. She made it sound like everything was Wilbur's fault, and he was refusing to own up to anything like a tyrant. Her acting skills were out in full force as well, wiping at her tears as she spoke. She looked like a victim who had finally met her savior, milking the act for all it was worth. Benjamin chuckled after she was done. Then he turned to wave at Wilbur. Wilbur barked out a laugh, walking over to Benjamin. This shocked Dorian and his family to the core. Dorian opened his mouth shakily. Me, Mr. Grayson. Do you know him?" "Yes. He's a buddy of mine," Benjamin said. "But if he really did all that, I'll be the first to give him hell before you do."